Part 4. Restarting the Myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 31. It's nice to chat with you. I'm at my stop. At the entrance of the station, Wayne, carrying a suitcase, saw the driver arranged by Veronica holding a large card with his name written on it, Wayne. At the same time, he expressed his farewell to Healy in a tactful way. Healy didn't understand and said with a smile, I missed my train and now I'm penniless. As a gentleman, can you bear to see a lady wandering on the street? Stop it, sister, do you know what penniless means? Wayne rolled his eyes, I'll buy you a ticket and give you 3 baskets of potatoes. Healy didn't say anything, smiled and got into the same car with Wayne. The driver was a young man who was surprised by Healy's appearance and expressed envy and jealousy to Wayne. Wayne was silent again. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that he and Healy were just strangers, so there was nothing to explain, so he didn't explain it. Wayne slightly straightened his chest and couldn't figure out that this was because the driver had a low IQ, and it had nothing to do with him. En-Road is far more prosperous than Cafano. Under the impact of industry, a large number of rural populations have poured into the town. If it weren't for the economic downturn in recent years, En-Road would have been even more prosperous. These have nothing to do with Wayne. Mr. Landau's manor is located in a remote area, away from the hustle and bustle of the town. It is located on a low mountain on the north side of the town, and the whole town can be seen from a high position. This is a manor with a huge area, a 4-story villa, white walls and blue roofs, surrounded by lawns, a specially trimmed fountain garden, and a pavilion garden for the owner to enjoy the natural fragrance. The vehicle drove into the iron gate of the fence. Wayne looked at the luxurious manor and felt that his father-in-law was so arrogant that he even hired a special gardener to take care of an uninhabited property. SPHY looked at the familiar garden, a sweet memory flashed before her eyes, and she exclaimed, Wayne, I didn't expect you to be so rich and have your own property in a remote town. You think too much, this is my girlfriend's house, her wealth does not mean I am rich. Can you tell me about your girlfriend, how did you meet her? SPHY was very interested. Wayne firmly believed that the other party was trying to steal Veronica's girlfriend, and he was unwilling to delve into this topic. He perfunctorily said, there is nothing to say, she came to the detective agency to apply for a job, and I just happened to be short of an assistant, and we fell in love with each other over time. She is so rich, can you afford it? Paid work, pay me a salary. What do you mean, her daughter pays for it? Seeing SPHY's puzzled expression, Wayne shrugged, I have already given her a job, why should I give her a salary? Don't be surprised, when other bosses realize this, paid work will become the norm in society. The version is too advanced, SPHY can't be dealt with. In front of the villa, the housekeeper dressed neatly and waited for the lady's distinguished guests. Because this big house is a distance from London, there are only 4 professional maids sent from London, who are responsible for the security and sanitation of the big house to ensure that the Landau family can move in at any time. The gardeners and servants were hired from the town, and they were not considered their own people, so they did not join the welcoming team. A middle-aged housekeeper and 4 sturdy maids stunned Wayne. They are so strong. Are you sure they are not believers of the sun goddess? Or is this the taste of my father-in-law? Oh my God, if this is the case, wouldn't my mother-in-law be the same style as fitness coaches? It's great that Veronica didn't grow crooked. Wayne was stunned, and the housekeeper wearing a monocle was also stunned. Didn't they say there was only one guest? Why did the hostess come too? Sci-fi smiled at the butler and shook his head, not wanting to admit his identity. The butler was indeed professional. He immediately understood the master's instructions by observing the master's words and expressions. He did not ask why, but stepped forward and bowed, saying, "To distinguished guests, I am the butler FLA, on behalf of the Landau family, I welcome you." Excuse me, "Butler, I am Wayne, and this is Ms. Valentine." Wayne apologized. "Originally I was alone, but something happened on the road, and this lady was homeless, and I owed her a favor, so I can only trouble you to arrange an extra room." Butler: "Young man, do you want to listen to what you are saying?" "Excuse me." Butler Sci-fi bowed slightly. The butler immediately returned the greeting and said politely, "No trouble, it is my honor as the butler of the Landau family to serve such an elegant lady like you. Please rest assured that I will arrange your daily life like the master." Wayne nodded repeatedly. "Look, this is called professionalism." The housekeeper's professionalism was excellent, and his words were very pleasant, especially his politeness. Those who knew him would think that he was following the etiquette of hospitality, and those who didn't would think that the owner had returned home. The housekeeper was so polite, and Wayne was also proud of it, and invited Healy to walk into the villa. 10 seconds later, Wayne's eyes were moist. Poverty limited his imagination. He had tried his best to imagine the luxury here, but the result was not worth mentioning everywhere. Compared with this big house, the luxury train was just a woodshed, no, the woodshed of the maid's house. The mansions in the remote town were so arrogant, and the ancestral house of Landon would be so luxurious. Wayne used his imagination unscrupulously, and the maid and the doorman of the Landau family broke up because long-distance relationships did not have good results. The housekeeper first arranged Wayne's guest room, and after closing the door, he bowed deeply to Healy to express his apology for the previous offense. Healy smiled slightly and pointed to the guest room opposite Wayne. She would live here for a while. At the same time, she asked the housekeeper not to contact London, as she didn't want that person to call and harass her. The housekeeper just nodded, and the phone in the living room rang. It was from London, and the caller was Austin Landau. Mr. Landau already knew the whereabouts of his wife, and he was very angry. He wanted to sink Wayne into the river immediately, right now, and he was so angry. Not long after he investigated Wayne, because his subordinates outsourced the investigation business, the news leaked out, causing Wayne to know that he was being targeted by a big shot. Fortunately, Wayne asked someone to help find him, and used a little trick to send the person out of London. Just looking at the result, everything was still perfect. The process was unbearable to watch, it was eye-catching. For this matter, his daughter, who had not taken the initiative to talk to him for a long time, spoke in person, and her tone was much kinder. "You kid, you deserve to die. Mr. Landau has made up his mind that he will never be able to deal with that big shot, and similarly, Wayne will never be able to return to London. Want to pick up his little darling, but, no way." Mr. Landau was proud for only one night. The next day, he was not happy anymore when he received a call. Wayne did not flirt with his daughter, but with his wife instead. How could it be such a coincidence? This guy must have done it on purpose. But Mr. Landau believed in his wife. With Healy's pride, it was impossible for her to find a lover outside. However, the information he had collected was shocking. Just in case, he decided to call and ask. "Calm down. That bastard named Wayne is a little ambiguous with your daughter." Healy did not answer the call. She despised her bastard husband. His wife had a scandal with a strange man outside, but he just called instead of rushing over to kill him immediately. Scumbag. Bastard. Go to hell. Landau. Mr. Landau hung up the unanswered call, his face was black. "Wayne, right? Very good. You successfully aroused my curiosity." The camera returned to the town of N Road. Ms. Healy found a lot of clothes and jewelry in the dressing room dedicated to the mistress of the big house. The jewelry didn't matter. The key was the clothes, which fit her figure 1-to-1, as if they were tailor-made. She hadn't been here for vacation for 4 or 5 years, but the big house still had her clothes. Asshole, people's figures change, and the clothes here are all the same size. It's obvious that they don't care. Healy put on an evening dress with a snort, turned around in front of the mirror, and asked the butler to invite Wayne to dinner and mentioned magic by the way. The result was not very good. Wayne refused to have dinner. Healy shook her head and nodded. Her previous behavior was very aggressive, which inevitably made Wayne wary. Very good, not being close to women is a good habit, and she hopes Wayne will keep it. On the windowsill, a black owl landed with a magic card in its mouth. Sci-fi took it in her hand and read it with a serious face. Paris's underground tomb is projected to London. The whereabouts of the Death Knight are unknown, but someone saw his sword shadow nightmare in London. The Dark Knight has risen and is unstoppable. The Alliance cannot expand its influence in London due to his strong suppression. The minions of death and darkness are entrenched in London. The Mist Realm is now deeply rooted and almost impossible to eradicate. The cataclysm will come at any time. Sci-fi sighed. It is indeed not easy to be a high priest of the sub-district. Although he is in a high position, he also has to bear greater responsibilities and face stronger enemies. Death Knight. Dark Knight. Mist Realm. She pondered for a moment and could not delay any longer. She decided to take action against Wayne tonight, accept this disciple, and return to London as soon as possible to take charge of the overall situation. Restarting the Myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 32. It's night. Wayne enjoyed his dinner and fed the white doves from his hat. At the same time, he took out a magic book on basic theories related to the messenger bird and studied it to consolidate his memory. He has memorized this book by heart, but still takes it out and reads it every day. Goo goo goo. On the table, the pigeon seemed to be frightened by something, and it cooed and got into the hat. Wayne glanced out of the corner of his eye and saw a shadow on the edge of the window. Its golden eyes were cold and ruthless, staring at him. The shadow was about 30 centimeters high, quiet, and motionless. Below the eyes, something like a tentacle curled up and twisted. Wayne was startled, and when he looked closely, he realized that it was not something indescribable, but a completely black owl, staring straight at him, with a mouse in its mouth. The rat is alive and its twisted tentacles are tails. You're a unique little girl, you're really good looking. Wayne complained and waved his hand to drive away the curious owl. Unexpectedly, the owl was so courageous that he flapped his wings and landed on the table, placing the mouse in front of Wayne. The gray mouse immediately began to pretend to be dead after being put down by the owl, and its tail stopped moving. Wayne didn't know why, and then he saw the black owl push the mouse with its talon, and then tilted its head and looked towards him. The expression seemed to say, "Master Cat has reserved the place tonight, open it up and eat, there are enough mouse strips." Wayne was delighted that the wild owls were not afraid of strangers at all and were so hospitable. In comparison, his messenger bird, the snowy owl, simply deserved a beating. "Thank you so much, but I won't eat this. I've already had dinner." Wayne waved his hands, trying to make the owl leave by himself. The effect was average. The black owl obviously misunderstood something. He pressed his paw on the mouse's head, and with a click, the mouse changed from pretending to be dead to actually being dead. After cooking the ingredients, the owl pushed it toward Wayne with its talons. "This is not a matter of death or death. Forget it, you have good intentions." Wayne was very helpless. He was very grateful, but he really didn't want to eat this stuff. He stood up and raised his hands in the air, trying to scare the owl away. It was of no use. The owl tilted its head and didn't look frightened at all. On the contrary, Wayne is acting like a fool. "You're a very smart boy. He knows who is a good person and who won't hurt you. It's a pity that you're late. The Wayne family's staff is full. I can only take care of your meals, but not your meals. Go, go, if you don't leave, I'll give you extra food." Wayne reached out to catch the owls, but the latter did not want to be touched by him, so he pushed them away. The black owls stood on the window edge, flapped their wings and disappeared into the night sky. Quite cute. How about changing to a night-type messenger bird? Wayne cleaned up the dead mice on the table and sat down to continue reading. The familiar sight made him speechless. He turned around and saw that the same owl just now had another mouse in its mouth. There are so many rats. Wayne complained and opened his arms to prevent the owl from entering the house. Just when he was about to close the window, the owl flew away on its own. Wayne didn't move, just stood there, wondering what new tricks the owl could pull off. 2 minutes later, Wayne was shocked. The owl took back a necklace and placed it on the window edge. The overall shape of the necklace is a winged cross star, with lifelike wings. The cross star in the middle is hollow and inlaid with a ruby and a large number of broken diamonds. The style looks like Renaissance jewelry. Brother Cat understands me. Wayne's heart was pounding. He picked up the necklace and looked at it. His eyes suddenly lit up. There was a lot of soil on the necklace, as if it had just been dug out. Hey, do you still have this thing? Wayne raised his hand and gestured, feeling that good things are rewarded for good people. God is watching what people do. I don't know if the owl understood, but it understood Wayne's behavior of treating the necklace and the mouse differently, and after another 2 minutes, he took back a ring. Afterwards, earrings, bracelets and other jewelry were picked up one by the owl. Wayne was so happy that his molars were exposed. Change it tonight? Snowy Owl is unorganized and undisciplined, free and undisciplined, lacks a sense of collective honor and dedication, cannot maintain good communication with superiors, and is not qualified for his current position. After a meeting, it was decided that the Snow Owl was demoted to mascot and the Lucky Cat was appointed as the Wayne family's only nighttime homing bird. What the Black Owl brought were small objects. Wayne speculated that the other party had discovered a large treasure, and it was semi-open. He could dig out a lot with just a scratch with his talons. In order to prevent the cultural relic dealers from wasting their valuables and selling the valuable jewelry at a low price, Wayne decided to keep it by himself. He climbed out of the window, easily jumped down from the second floor, and followed the Black Owl to the treasure hiding place. During this period, he lost his target several times, and the Black Owl would come back to guide him. Half an hour later, Wayne stumbled into a deep forest and found a cave among the rocks. Wayne took a flashlight and looked into the cave. It was extremely narrow at first, and then he could pass through. After walking dozens of steps, it suddenly became clear. He hesitated in his heart, but the supernatural sense did not issue a warning. He pondered for a moment, and based on the concept that everyone is responsible for rescuing precious treasures, he went sideways into the cave. The Black Owl walked in front. After the space in the cave expanded, it flapped its wings and landed on a shadow. Wayne took a flashlight and shone it over. It was a seated stone statue, holding a book in his hand. Due to its age, it was wrapped in vines, so its true appearance could not be seen clearly. Wayne's attention was attracted by the book. He went forward to check and found that there were obvious signs of a mechanism on the stone palm. If he wanted to take out the book, he had to open the mechanism. It was unknown what material the book was made of. After many years of no corruption, the book was as clean as new, without any dust. Wayne saw the pattern of a hexagram on the cover, and thought of one of the 3 iron doors of the gym, guessing that this was a magic book. Wonderful, finally the luck has come. Wayne has read a lot of novels, and the situation of the male protagonist's rise to wealth is exactly the same as his current situation. He accidentally entered the cave, picked up the secret book and mastered the magic skills, turned left when he went out, slapped his face and collected girls, and finally became invincible and unified the world. The channel moved from martial arts to Western fantasy, but it was not a big problem. The routines on both sides of the east and the west are actually the same, and the west is even whiter. Wayne took a flashlight to look for the mechanism and found a line of words under the stone chair. Kneel before me 100 times, receive my inheritance, take me as your teacher, and obey my orders. Translation is a profound subject. This is not the original words, but Wayne translated it to mean almost the same thing. I seem to have seen this routine somewhere. Wayne complained. According to what this gentleman said, he had to kneel 100 times, then worship the teacher and obey the orders, in order to get the inherited magic book. Kneeling was impossible, and kneeling to the king on one knee and to the faith on both knees was not popular here. He muttered, "Teacher, please accept my student's worship." After saying that, he pretended to bend over and jumped up on the spot. He guessed that the mechanism was underground, and jumping 100 times and kneeling 100 times had the same effect. As expected, he successfully triggered the mechanism after jumping 10 times. The vines wrapped around the stone statue spread out like poisonous snakes. The stone statue holding the magic book slowly stood up. Judging from the figure, it seemed to be a woman wearing a hooded robe. The black owl flapped its wings and flew away, making a terrifying sound. The stone statue stepped down from the seat, stretched out his hands stiffly and handed the magic book to Wayne. The solemn appearance did have a sense of inheritance. Wayne was stunned for a moment, thinking that since the person was dead, kneeling on one knee was somewhat respectful to the cheap master. Then he thought, since the person was dead, it didn't matter whether he knelt or not. There was no need to deliberately pursue superficial forms. Some respect was enough. He took the magic book shamelessly, and was about to open it, when he heard the stone statue slowly say, "You took my magic book, and you will be my student in the future. You must obey the teacher's instructions and don't regret it." "My God, you can still talk." Wayne widened his eyes and nodded repeatedly while holding the magic book. "Teacher, go slowly, and the student will not see you off." "Teacher, why don't you leave?" "Go." "It's impossible to leave." The stone statue shed the dust particles on the surface, revealing the slender and enchanting body inside. The female mage was wearing a hooded robe, with body temperature and breathing, and was clearly alive. The black owl flapped its wings and landed on the female mage's shoulder, lowered its head and disappeared into the robe. The female mage pulled down her hood, and her short hair and delicate face were the face of Sci-fi. Wayne. He didn't believe it, so he took a flashlight and confirmed that it was indeed Sci-fi Valentine. "You are actually a magician." "Wayne, although this apprenticeship was a bit hasty and you lack sincerity, you have passed my test before and proved your character. You have accepted this magic book and will be my student in the future." Sci-fi smiled slightly, lowered her voice and tempted, "How is it, after seeing the truth of this world, are you beginning to desire power? Young man, do you desire power? This routine is still very old." Wayne rolled his eyes, raised his hand and shook it in front of Sci-fi's eyes, and a ray of pure magic overflowed, instantly interrupting Sci-fi's rhythm of pretending to accept a disciple. "You're late. Someone has already told me the truth about the world. You're actually a magician." Sci-fi was stunned. After a day of getting along, she didn't find any trace of magic on Wayne. This is not surprising. Many excellent magicians can restrain their breath and behave like ordinary people. She was surprised at Wayne's magic. Although it was not much, it was absolutely pure. The pitiful amount of magic showed that Wayne had just been exposed to magic for a short time. Hidden magic was difficult to observe. The purity showed that he was a genius. Excellent teachers, parents kneel down to ask for a way, excellent students, schools offer scholarships to grab one. In this case, the routine of recruiting apprentices has to change. Sci-fi secretly thought it was tricky. Maybe she would have to put pressure on another magician to snatch Wayne. Will it have a bad impact if she snatches people just after coming to London? Sphy waved his hand and erected a wall of earth, blocking the exit of the cave. His eyes flickered with green flames, and he said with a serious expression, "Wayne, tell me the truth, who is your teacher, who led you to the path of magic?" "No teacher." "Impossible." "Indeed, there is no teacher. A cursed unlucky guy planted a magic seed in my body, and then I found my own magic." Wayne told the truth, ignoring the name of the unlucky guy. At this time, he was still surprised by Sphy's identity as a magician. He is a fashion designer and a magician. Can he handle it? How long have you mastered magic? In a few days, this week. If I hadn't left London, I would have to sign up for night school. What the hell is night school? Is it worthy of you? Sci-fi was silent. It was a ridiculous way to guide magic. The simple and crude guiding method clearly did not show that she was a powerful magician. Very good, since the other party left Wayne alone and let Wayne wander around outside, she would not be polite. "Goddess, this disciple can be developed." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Restarting the Myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 33. Wayne, do you want to be my student? To be honest, I don't really want to. Wayne curled his lips. Sci-fi's routine of accepting disciples was too old. The only time he pretended to be cool ended in failure. He didn't look like a famous teacher. Too young. In his imagination, the teacher had a very long white beard, wore bottle-bottom thick reading glasses, looked knowledgeable and experienced. There were also unkempt robes, plain two-handed heavy swords, and a giant dragon sitting under his butt. It doesn't matter whether the sword is heavy or not, the key is the giant dragon under the butt. A queen teacher like Sci-fi is pleasing to the eye, but magic is a lifelong thing, and it can't be taken lightly. Queens and the like, in a few years, 3 ships will be their own. Sensing the contempt in Wayne's words, Sci-fi smiled lightly, and the surging mental power overflowed, stirring the magic tide, pulling Wayne's mind into a bizarre world. Starry Sky Universe. Wayne recognized this place, the world behind the Gate of Truth. "Big sister, you are late again, I have seen this scene too." Sci-fi didn't know that she had failed to pretend again. She put away her magic and the illusion of the deep space universe and said proudly, "Don't look at my young age. I am only 2 years older than you. I am very famous in the magic world. What you just saw is the Gate of Truth, a sacred place that countless wizards dream of. I have set foot in it and returned safely. Who is not?" The indifference on Wayne's face was regarded by Sci-fi as a young man without knowledge. It is normal for beginners not to know the horror and preciousness of the Gate of Truth. She stopped chattering and said with a strange smile, "How about this, I will introduce my daughter to you. In exchange, you can be my student, how about it?" "You have a daughter?" Wayne was deeply shocked. I don't know which bastard was lucky enough to get this good cabbage. At the same time, he was also surprised at Sci-fi's shamelessness. Is his daughter 5 years old? Wouldn't it hurt his conscience to introduce her to a boyfriend? Well, she is 19 this year. How old are you? 20 years old. It's late, let's talk about it another day. Villa. Faced with Sci-fi's invitation to accept a disciple, Wayne neither refused nor nodded, nor did he mean to return the magic book. To be fair, he recognized Sci-fi's strength. A glimpse of the magic tide and the supernatural senses gave a crazy warning. The danger level was only below the Gate of Truth, which was enough to prove that Sci-fi was a powerful magician. It's just, I always feel something is wrong. Wayne was at a loss, and attributed it to Sci-fi's unreliability. At the same time, he also understood why Sci-fi was so enthusiastic when they first met. It turned out that she was not greedy for his body, but greedy for his body. Wayne was undoubtedly eager for magic, and he was eager to gain powerful power, preferably surpassing Veronica and the other two overnight and reaching the level of outstanding graduates. He weighed the pros and cons again and again, thinking that he didn't have many choices. An excellent and powerful magician took the initiative to come to his door and took great pains to direct a legacy. He seemed hypocritical if he put on airs, so he simply acquiesced to 11 Faye calling himself a teacher. "I know you think I'm too young and it's embarrassing to be my student. You have a good eye. I'm really young. How about this, from now on, we can call each other by our own name. You call me sister, and I call you." When talking about sister, 11 Faye didn't know what she thought of. Her eyes lit up and she giggled non-stop, like a witch who wanted to eat people. Teacher G didn't look like a good person. Could he believe in some evil god? Let me introduce you again, Sci-fi Valentine, a believer of the goddess of nature, who returned to London this time to serve as the regional high priest, representing the highest power of the church in the Kingdom of Windsor, and also representing the highest combat power of the church in the Kingdom of Windsor. Speaking of this, Sci-fi exuded strong confidence. "How about it, do you still think that the teacher is not qualified to teach you now?" "Of course." Wayne's face changed at the speed of light, and he respectfully called the teacher. Sci-fi waved her hand, covered her mouth and laughed. "Sister is fine, this title is more interesting, I can't wait." Wayne didn't know what the other party was talking about. In the middle of the night, a man and a woman were alone in the same room, and he suspected that Sci-fi was doing something. He advised the teacher to be kind, and the students' views on love were very conservative and could not accept teacher-student love. "I was transferred back to London from the Paris headquarters to take over a big mess. Otherwise, our apprenticeship ceremony would be more sacred. Now, you are in love with my daughter. It doesn't matter whether there is a ceremony for your own people. Just listen to Veronica in the future. Originally I wanted to spend a lot of time teaching you, but the situation in London is more serious than I thought. I will return to London in 3 days to take charge of the situation. You have to be prepared to stay up all night for 3 days." Hyph admitted that she coveted Wayne's talent and was willing to stay for 3 days to teach him. She did not put forward the condition that Wayne must fulfill his promise to become her student. It can be seen that Wayne showed resistance when she set up the trap. In this case, it is absolutely impossible to force him. You have to coax him. The effect is not bad. Wayne was very happy to be coaxed by her. Maybe his mouth is still hard, but his body is very honest. He tacitly accepted her as a teacher. "Hyph, damn bastard, the way to coax people is so effective. You are so skilled. Did you have other women before me?" Sci-fi looked serious, put on a teacher's posture, and restrained her teasing. She asked Wayne to open the six-pointed star magic book and said, "This is the highest masterpiece of the legendary wizard of the church. It summarizes thousands of years of magic practice experience. It has the best meditation method and the most comprehensive practice system, which can help you avoid many detours." At Sci-fi's instruction, Wayne opened the magic book. The first page was a six-pointed star pattern drawn by 6 straight lines. The 2 triangles were not simply superimposed geometric patterns, but lines interlaced to form a whole. Black forged hexagram, silver cross, golden triangle. You don't need to worry about the latter 2 for now. Master the hexagram first, and light up the hexagram before you can reach a higher level. Sci-fi sat opposite Wayne, pointed at the hexagram and said, "You must remember what I say next. The hexagram represents earth, fire, water, wind, space, and me. Earth, the foundation of life, represents the muscles, bones, and internal organs of the human body. In nature, earth is the earth. All life, you, me, and others come from the earth. The earth is the foundation and the top priority of the harmony of the hexagram system. You can learn to communicate with the earth by contacting nature, so as to introduce more earth elements into your body. Sci-fi's words seemed to have magic, making Wayne's eyes flash through the natural scenery of all things. He shuttled through the mountains and wilderness, walked barefoot on the earth, kept in touch with the earth at all times, and gained the wisdom and memory of the other party. Fire, the energy of life, represents human desire. Human desire is endless. The life energy in your body is sufficient, so magicians do not need to introduce the fire element from nature. What we need to do is to learn to balance desires and even suppress desires. The fire of anger, the fire of greed, the fire of lust, the fire of laziness, the fire of arrogance, we have too many desires. A magician cannot remain calm. The fire will devour the other 5 rays of light of the hexagram, making your magic no longer pure and your mind confused. At the same time, if the tranquility reaches the extreme, a magician will lose desire and the energy to move forward in life. Keep balance and face yourself. As Sci-fi narrated, Wayne fell into a sea of fire and magma. The high temperature distorted his mind and forged his will. Water, the source of life, represents the blood and water in the human body, allowing us to keep a clear mind and balance our desires. The water element is peaceful, gentle, and pure. Bathing in water will give you the greatest balance in the world. It makes us understand the preciousness of life, and also makes us understand that desire is not the highest pursuit, life is above everything else. Water will help you put out the flames, but as I said, the flames cannot be completely extinguished. Wayne swam in the blue ocean. He was in the sea, but he felt like a container for water. The two reached a certain balance. His mind remained absolutely clear at this moment, and the burning flames dissipated, no longer controlled by desires. Wind, the breath of life, you can think of it as the breath you take every moment. The wind element is not conspicuous in nature, but it is the most dynamic element, affected by the other 3 elements, and also changes the other 3 elements. Your breathing will change due to your flesh and blood, and desires, which determines your physical condition. If your flesh and blood and desires are corrupted, your breathing will also become slow. On the contrary, if you can keep the wind element in your body alive forever, it can in turn affect your flesh and blood, desires, delay corruption, or even eradicate it. An excellent magician can keep the vitality of the wind element forever and stay young forever. It is the breath of life, it is vitality. Wayne felt the rhythm of breathing, exchanging with nature, alternating between the filth and purity inside and outside, keeping his body healthy and strong. Empty is energy and matter, knowledge, and the law of objective existence. The first 4 are the basic elements of life. Empty is higher than the 4 elements and is the most difficult existence to grasp in the hexagram system. It is outside of nature and is the universe, also known as ether. The energy of the 4 elements is limited, and the space of ether is infinite. It has extremely high wisdom. When you come into contact with empty, your thinking, your wisdom and even your magic will be guided and amplified by empty. Empty is closely related to the 4 elements. The 4 elements constitute your life and determine how much wisdom you gain from contact with empty. To put it simply, empty is knowledge. Only with knowledge can there be magic. Use your life to communicate with empty, and your magic will bloom in a miraculous way, thus changing reality. This time, Wayne was surrounded by white. He looked up at the top of his head, which seemed to be an endless starry sky. The stars in the sky represent the highest wisdom of the universe, where all knowledge and truth are. I, my true self, thinking, faith, a magician's lifelong pursuit. We use thinking to control magic, use magic to drive magic, and use magic to change reality. Thinking is based on perception and transcends the boundaries of perception. It involves all cognitive or intellectual activities. Without thinking, we are nothing. In the process of learning knowledge, our thinking will be strongly impacted. In order to ensure that our thinking is always rational, we must restrain ourselves with faith and master higher wisdom with the help of God's protection. A mirror appeared in front of Wayne. In the mirror, his eyes were confused and his whole body was morbidly pale. The skin color only dead people have. Suddenly, the sunburn marks on his chest cracked, and the huge eyeballs opened, corrupting his flesh and turning him into a sticky, indescribable monster with only tentacles and eyeballs. At this time, a green light shone down, dispelling Wayne's evil coat and turning him back into human form. The green light was holy and natural. Indistinctly, Wayne saw an elegant silhouette in it. Wayne. Teacher, there are too many private goods in this paragraph. Did you add drama? The foundation of the hexagram is the four elements, which is the foundation that every magician must lay a solid foundation. Mastering the four elements, you can cast the corresponding magic, but magic and divine arts involving faith require a heart full of piety. Teacher Sci-fi obviously added more ingredients. In order to make Wayne feel the greatness of the goddess of nature and to make Wayne fall into the arms of the goddess of nature, she worked hard, and used a lot of magic to outline the illusion with language. These illusions allow Wayne to intuitively feel the four elements, emptiness and self. This is a very clever way of guidance, similar to enlightenment, teaching Wayne step by step how to sense and balance the four elements and recognize emptiness and self. This is the advantage of a famous teacher. If it were night school, Wayne would have to spend at least one more year. The four elements are strong or weak, depending on your talent. Some people are born with a strong desire to make progress, which is fire. Some people are born quiet and peaceful, focusing on water. Some people are born as outstanding athletes, representing earth. Those who stay young and long-lived are wind. The reverse is also true. The lustful are fire, the cold are water, the weak are earth, and the old are wind. There is no need to deliberately pursue the perfect balance of the four elements. Such geniuses are definitely monsters. What you need to do is to master the four elements, combine the knowledge you have learned, and outline the hexagram with your thinking. Sci-fi raised her hand to Wayne's chest, and the hexagram pattern loomed. Complete this hexagram, you will be a qualified magician, and your magic power will be greatly improved. Later, I will tell you what realms the silver cross and the golden triangle represent respectively. Don't be impatient, this road is still long. Wayne was convinced. This teacher was not wrong. She really has something. Suddenly, he thought of something. Teacher, I have faith now, it's the moonlight goddess, I promise. Have you registered? Register for what? Then you are not a believer of the moonlight goddess. Change it, and follow your sister to follow the footsteps of the goddess of nature in the future. So casual, you are a mage of the Free Alliance, right? Restarting the myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 34. Sci-fi is a very good tutor. She teaches students very carefully, especially during the question and answer session. She is very patient. Wayne also studied very hard. It can be seen that the teacher is too good. With Sci-fi's strength, teaching the basics of magic is undoubtedly an overkill, and it is more exaggerated than a cannon to kill mosquitoes. Wayne was unwilling to miss this opportunity and showed his super learning ability and memory. He was like a sponge, absorbing the nutrients fed by Sci-fi. Rather than absorbing, it is better to say squeezing. Sci-fi quietly wiped the cold sweat from her forehead. This student was too terrible. If she had been taught by someone else, she would have been drained by Wayne. Under Heapy's guidance, Wayne opened the chapter on four elements according to the table of contents. The hexagram magic book contains some magic that are closely related to the four elements. There are not many magics. Each element corresponds to 3 to 4 spells, and the total is less than 15 kinds of spells. Mastering the four elements and releasing the corresponding basic magic is a basic course for magicians. Magic and divine magic related to faith are not included in the hexagram magic book. It's useless even if they are included. These magics are all stamped by faith and can only be cast by followers of the corresponding gods. They belong to the inheritance among church members. Wayne asked a lot of questions, and he answered them all. Wayne was shocked that all magicians in this world could do instant magic. Instant basic magic relied on proficiency, and instant advanced magic relied on faith. Unless their thinking was confused, magicians would not get stuck in battle. The case of lack of blue will be calculated separately. I told you before that everyone's hexagram focuses on different things, so the basic magic they are good at is also different. He pointed to the lines of spells, explained them word for word to Wayne, and analyzed the deep meaning behind the spells, allowing Wayne to more intuitively understand what magic spells were. Simply put, a spell is a formula for solving the manifestation of magic. What kind of spell you use will get what kind of magic. Powerful magicians can create their own formulas. They will not stick to spells. Even if it is magic related to faith, they can innovate with their own thinking and will to find the most suitable form of magic expression for themselves. So, the spell is not really important, the key is thinking. The meaning of the existence of spells is to express formulas more intuitively. It is the thinking process of magicians when using magic. The popularity of formulas makes it easy for beginners to master magic. For example, the commonly used formula for the area of a right triangle is S equal 1/2 of. Beginners don't need to know why. They can solve the problem by just remembering this formula. After asking the question hundreds of times, the answer will appear on its own. In this way, it is natural for the magician to be able to cast magic instantly. Wayne nodded. He understood this. Chris once said that the way magic changes reality depends on the magician's thinking. Magic is just a lever, thinking is the key. There is no need to dwell on spells. Why is magic so inconvenient? Things. Chrissy, thanks, that's not what I said. Wayne was eager for the magic formulas in the book and couldn't wait to try it. He glanced at Sci-fi and saw teacher Yuja smiling and encouraging, so he recited the spell and cast the spell for the first time. The last transformation didn't count, it was so confusing that he didn't understand it yet. Unsurprisingly, Wayne's attempt failed. Sci-fi answered with a smile, "You have too little magic power." Of course, it's not just the magic power. The more important reason is the six-pointed star. You lack the 4 elements in your body. You didn't even light them. Sci-fi may be a little short-sighted, so she took out a pair of gold-rimmed glasses and put them on. The glasses slightly concealed her aggressive and sharp appearance, adding a bit of intellectual and elegant charm. She returned the pages of the book to the six-pointed star, pointed at them one by one, and said, "Generally speaking, those who can skillfully use 2 kinds of elemental magic are very good students, and 3 are rare geniuses. There are almost 4 kinds. The difficulty lies in the 2 opposing elements of water and fire. When placed in a person, they represent the strength of desire. Those with strong desires are good at the fire element, those with low desires are good at the water element, and those with perfectly balanced desires are neither good at the fire element nor the water element. The 2 elements of earth and wind are the favorites of mages, and are also used skillfully by most mages. Sci-fi came slowly, the former can bring powerful bodies to the mages. Although they are mages, everyone has a heart for close combat. For example, my sister, I am very good at close combat, forget it, I am a special case. Not much to say here. The popularity of the wind element is better understood. It is the breath of life, which means good health and eternal youth. Regardless of men and women, every living being dreams of it. In comparison, water and fire are incompatible. Deliberately pursuing the perfect balance of the 2 elements will only result in losing twice. Doing twice the result is half the gain. It is enough to be good at one of water and fire. Sister, I am from an academy. Academic instructors tend to students to suppress their desires, that is, to master the element of water. Desire means aggressiveness, which is a good thing, but lust seriously interferes with a mage's thinking, which is in the six-pointed star of me. Wrapped in desire, I will gradually lose my mind, causing myself to sink deeper and deeper into contact with Sara, and eventually become a black mage with an extreme personality. Sci-fi said solemnly, students are too young to withstand temptation, and you are the same. Don't have too much contact with the fire elements from the outside. They will strengthen your desires and make you greedy, irritable, lustful, lazy, arrogant, and prone to jealousy of other people's achievements. Wayne. Just say what you say and see what I do. I am not arrogant and I will not be jealous of anyone. Sci-fi once again emphasized the horror of desire. She turned the page back to the chapter on the four elements, finished all the spells, and entered the most critical part of tonight's course. Meditation method. Meditation can strengthen thinking and can also be used to cultivate magic power. Let's start with some simple ones tonight. You try to communicate with the four elements through meditation. Don't be in a hurry. The vast world is too early for you. They're very dangerous. Sci-fi warned, basic magic knowledge is enough for you to ignite a hexagram. Remember this, don't go beyond it and don't try to challenge yourself. Your current thinking cannot withstand too strong an impact. Wayne nodded obediently, and after getting familiar with the meditation method, he glanced at Ziffy with interest. There's really nothing I can do about you. Sci-fi took off her glasses. Try it. It doesn't matter if you fail. The meditation method passed down by the church is very gentle, and with my sister watching, you will be fine. Wayne couldn't wait to cross his legs and sit on the sofa with his back straight. The meditation method does not have strict requirements for the posture of meditation. You can use any posture that is comfortable and easier to enter the state, standing, lying down, inverted, or lying on your stomach with your butt raised. Wayne's cross-legged practice is purely a matter of personal obsession, and he regards magic as cultivating immortality. In conjunction with the meditation method, Wayne's breathing gradually became more even, and he seemed to have an extra pair of eyes, a pair of gray-white eyes. Through these eyes, Wayne saw a gray-white world, very much like X-rays. He saw the gray Sci-fi opposite, and the four-element light spots entrenched in his body. More, they are the four elements of light floating in nature, the calm earth, the restless fire, the tranquil water, and the lively wind. Something feels wrong. The perspective is wrong. Wayne found that his perspective was at his chest. He didn't have a pair of eyes, only one eye, which was much larger than an ordinary person's. Damn it, the after effects of merging with the Book of Greed are still there. Wayne was about to stop meditating and ask Heath if it was still too late for him to be rescued, when he heard Heath's guiding voice. Wayne, stretch out your hands and embrace the elements of nature. Remember not to communicate with the fire element. That is desire. You can't control them yet. Wayne followed the instructions and tried to stretch out his sickly wrinkled hands. He thought it would be difficult, but he succeeded immediately. Several slimy tentacles stretched out. Wayne. What the hell am I now? Forget it, let's just leave it at that, the tentacles and stuff just correspond to magical girls. The elements were so frightened that they fled far away. Earth is running the slowest, wind is running the fastest, and water is almost crying. Only the fire was different. After running for 2 steps, they stopped. The fire elements were full of interest in Wayne. After a brief hesitation, they enthusiastically wanted to play with the tentacles. Wayne kept in mind Sci-fi's teachings and only allowed the fire elements to rub against him, never allowing them to enter his body. He rejected the passionate fire element and stretched out his tentacles to plunder the light spots of the 3 elements of earth, wind, and water. Yes, it's plunder. There is one here, there is one here, tisk tisk, let me see, is there one hidden here? Gee, I caught you. Wherever the tentacles passed, the three elements fled. If the unlucky ones were caught, they would struggle hard, crying and asking their companions to help them. Companion, if you want to die yourself, release your hands quickly. Across the desk, Xi-Fei's eyes flashed with green light. She did not see Wayne's big eyes, nor did she see the tentacles that bullied men and women. She only saw the light spots that Wayne absorbed into his body. What a terrifying elemental affinity! The first time I meditated, I was so attracted by the elements. They all rushed to express their responses to Wayne. I will do the same in the future. Xi-Fei remembered that when she meditated for the first time, because the elements were difficult to communicate, she spent a lot of effort and finally introduced only two elements, earth and wind. In terms of quantity, one for earth and one for wind, and then they were gone. All her classmates failed, and the teacher praised her as a genius without hesitation. The position of district high priest also proved that the teacher was right, and she was indeed a genius. And Wayne? Goodoo. Xi-Fei swallowed and her eyes lit up. Fortunately, the goddess of nature blessed her and allowed her to get there first and intercept Wayne before the followers of the moonlight goddess. She was about to praise Wayne a few words, but she was afraid that the compliment would be too harsh and would lead to Wayne becoming conceited and arrogant, which would be detrimental to his future growth. Squeeze it first and praise it later. After a while, Wayne woke up from meditation. It was his first time meditating. He couldn't maintain the state for a long time. He just felt that his head was buzzing and he had to rest for a while. He looked at Xi-Fei expectantly, wanting to know what his talent was, good or very good. Not bad, average, barely above the standard, but you don't have to be discouraged. Compared to the geniuses, you are a little inferior, but compared to the fools, you are much better. Xi-Fei said with a serious face, for example, for a genius of my level, sister, I meditated for the first time and captured thousands, forget it, I won't hit you here. You've struck a blow. Wayne sighed. It was indeed the case. The total number of 4-element light points was less than 30. Compared with Xi-Fei's number of thousands, it was indeed a bit unqualified. It's all because the elements didn't cooperate. Teacher, magic is really difficult. Heap he. Well, you are asking for a beating. Restarting the myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 35. Wayne felt that he was very weak, rounded off to be trash, which made Xi-Fei speechless. If this was called trash, what was she, and what were those classmates who failed in their first meditation? Xi-Fei kept a straight face and didn't say anything. Blame her for talking nonsense just now, digging a hole to bury herself, and becoming worse than trash. Xi-Fei's cold face was regarded by Wayne as his poor qualifications. He didn't dare to speak out his grievances. The Book of Greed had caused his image to change drastically, and the elements didn't dare to approach him. Wayne, magic is indeed difficult, but beginners are like this. One failure can't prove anything. Try harder in the future, Xi-Fei said with a stiff face. She was almost out of words. Wayne nodded. Diligence can make up for clumsiness, this is the truth, I understand, it doesn't matter if the talent is a little worse, as long as I put in 10 or 100 times the energy, I will definitely be able to get closer to the genius. Xi-Fei. Let the genius go, they are still children. The topic was too heavy, and Xi-Fei seemed to see a gray face with no desires. Her daughter Veronica was also in the queue. She skipped this topic and turned to the last chapter of the magic book. Me. The six-pointed star magic book did not elaborate on the concept of emptiness. The theoretical knowledge was taught uniformly by the teachers of the academy, and the thick stack of textbooks was not suitable for inclusion in the book. Of course, the dozen magic formulas can also be regarded as emptiness. Beginners master the most basic knowledge, ignite and outline a complete six-pointed star pattern. When the six-pointed star is formed and stabilized, the life essence of the beginner will be greatly strengthened, and he will become a magician who can stand on his own, and then he will have a qualified mind to contact more knowledge. The effect of Wayne's first meditation was average, and he asked Sci-fi if there was any solution. He wanted to capture the elemental light spots quickly, instead of being as slow as now. Teacher Yuja immediately answered. This problem troubled all beginners, and there are actually simple solutions. Get close to nature and let your body and your mind come into contact with the elemental light spots to a greater extent. Take soil as an example. Each of us is in contact with the earth all the time. You can try walking barefoot in the garden. Wait, what are you doing climbing through the window? Come back. Hi called Wayne back with a dark face, put on your socks. They are smelly. This is not a gentleman's behavior in front of a lady. The way to contact the four elements is not complicated. If you want to get close to the soil, just walk barefoot. The earth element will strengthen the magician's muscles, bones, and internal organs. But this is not infinite. It depends on talent. Some mages are destined not to be good at close combat. Some, such as descendants of dragon blood, are strengthened by the earth element for much longer than ordinary people. The remaining three elements are analogous. If you are close to the water element, drink more water and take more baths. It is best to soak in the sea. If you are close to the wind element, blow more northwest wind. If there is no northwest wind, turn on the electric fan. It is easiest to get close to the fire element. Get more Sunday, it doesn't matter if it is cloudy. Do you see the fireplace over there? Just squat. If you feel that your meditation is not very effective, then practice more and integrate meditation into every aspect of your life. It may be difficult at first, because the state of meditation will be interrupted by thoughts, but as long as you persist, you can do two things at the same time. Even when you sleep, you can maintain a meditative state. Hi warned that you cannot meditate in front of outsiders, especially when you are lurking. It is easy for the other party to detect your tracks. At the same time, he reminded Wayne that his magic power is hidden, which is a huge advantage that allows him to hide among ordinary people without being noticed. As long as he does not take the initiative, it is difficult to tell that he is a magician. Of course, because of the composition of the hexagram, the magician's breath will change involuntarily, which is very different from that of ordinary people. This is uncontrollable. One day in the future, Wayne wants to continue to pretend to be an ordinary person, and he has to learn advanced techniques to converge his breath. This is the use of magic power, which Wayne cannot master at present. He cannot take two big steps and has to take it step by step. Unconsciously, time came to late at night, and Wayne was a little sleepy because of his first meditation. Sci-fi stopped teaching and told him to have a good sleep and continue the class tomorrow morning. 3 days and 3 nights of sleeplessness is just talk. Staying up late is the enemy of beauty. Wayne was thinking about continuing to toss and turn, and she wanted to have a good sleep. Moreover, she hadn't come to the villa for vacation for many years, and she couldn't help but miss it. If Veronica were there too. The next day, an accident happened during class. At night, Wayne was obsessed with the teacher's lecture and couldn't stop. At dinner time, he forgot to feed the white pigeon. The white pigeon got out of the hat by itself, and Sci-fi happened to see it clearly. "Wayne, where did you get the messenger bird?" Sci-fi was very surprised. Wayne had no systematic training in the academy, and he was not a qualified believer. Where did he get the messenger bird? At the gathering place of the followers of the sun goddess, a friend gave it to me. A man or a woman? No. Have you been to the base of the followers of the sun goddess? Sci-fi was very surprised. First it was the moonlight goddess, then the sun goddess. What about death and darkness? Could their followers have also taken action? Well, I just walked out of there yesterday. They are so enthusiastic. Wayne complained, released a silky little combo, and then said, "Teacher, you don't allow me to try elemental magic, what about the messenger bird magic? Teach me during the break." Siffy did not answer, but pushed his glasses, realizing that things were not simple. She had a serious sense of crisis. The student was too good and was in great demand. Maybe the sun goddess believers had already played with her. Bah, shameless. How could you have the nerve to snatch someone else's student in broad daylight? 11 Faye had no idea that Wayne was despised in the gym. She judged him by herself and imagined that Wayne was bewitched by the sun goddess believers. This was not okay. Wayne was her student and an outstanding disciple she developed for the goddess of nature. In the future, he might even become a favored person of God. He must not be snatched away no matter what. 11 Faye pondered for a moment, and suddenly her eyes lit up. She smiled and lifted the hem of her skirt, revealing her smooth and straight calves. "Wayne, tell me what my brand is missing." "You are still thinking about this?" "Teacher, let's talk about the magic of the messenger bird." Wayne took a look and was speechless. The queen teacher was good at everything. She had knowledge and a pretty face, and she had strength and a good figure. This would cause her to lose focus during class. This is also the reason why he prefers the old white-bearded scholar to be his teacher. The old man is not interesting, so he can keep his attention on the teacher during class, instead of on the teacher. Let's talk about clothes, otherwise there will be no magic class in the future. Stockings, nylon stockings. Wayne had no choice but to say it. This time he did not hesitate to hide it. Before, Sci-fi was a passerby, but now Sci-fi is his mentor on the road of magic. He has gained a lot from the 3-day course alone. It is not a bad idea to give the patent of stockings to Sci-fi as a gift. It is too difficult to obtain patent rights. Even if he bought it, he couldn't keep it. Sci-fi is different. The high priest of the district must be rich and powerful. If he flatters her, he may even get some soup. In order to describe the stockings more intuitively, Wayne asked the maid for a piece of charcoal and drew it on his legs in front of Sci-fi. Stockings can be used to modify legs, keep warm, prevent edema, prevent sunburn and sweat. The biggest attraction is beauty. It can cover some small flaws on women's legs. In addition, the smoothness of stockings can increase the beauty of legs and give the spectators a solemn and elegant visual impact. The camera turned, and Wayne talked about the use of stockings. It became him giving a lecture, and Healy became a student. In my expectation, ultra-thin stockings should be used in summer, medium-thick stockings should be used in spring and autumn, and thickened and warm stockings should be used in winter. High-quality stockings should be breathable, and can expel hot and humid air even in summer, so that women can be free from the trouble of sticky skin caused by sweat and contact with air more freely. At the same time, stockings should also be elastic, tighten leg fat, and make leg lines more beautiful. Good adhesion helps to fit closely with the skin, making the skin look more delicate and shiny. Another is wear resistance. Wayne pointed to his big black legs, and became more and more energetic as he talked about the concept of stockings he designed. Someone said, "Don't go out without a hat, and don't go out without stockings." Wayne couldn't remember who said this, but he knew that the other party had a status in the fashion circle, and the industry boss had a sharp eye, which was why he believed that stockings could make a lot of money. After listening to Wayne's story, Sci-fi was very excited. As a woman and a fashion designer, she immediately realized the bright prospects of stockings. It doesn't matter whether it makes money or not, she must have it in her wardrobe. Sci-fi pulled up the hem of her skirt and wanted to use charcoal to blacken her long legs on the spot, and asked Wayne to help, one for each person, faster. Wayne refused. He wanted to respect the teacher and asked the teacher not to tease him from time to time. After all, it was really teasing. Sci-fi changed into an evening dress and stood in front of the mirror to look at it repeatedly. Her calves had been painted black. Although they were not real stockings, they were interesting. Wayne was very curious about where Sci-fi found the evening dress, which was so fitting. Then he thought that it was normal for a magician to have a storage space, which was not surprising. The more Healy looked at it, the more satisfied she was. She couldn't wait to get her first pair of stockings. Wayne, are you worried about the patent of nylon? Yes, as far as I know, the patent of nylon is held by a company in London. I haven't investigated which company specifically. Currently, nylon is mainly used to produce military supplies, Wayne said truthfully. It's a waste. It would be great if it could be used to make socks. It's not that easy. It's just a blueprint concept at the moment. There are still technologies to be overcome. It's not that you can produce stockings just by getting the patent. Wayne sighed, the key is the patent. I'm afraid that once the stockings are on the market, the other party will see the huge profits and kick us out directly. Haha, no. Healy was confident. As for her husband, she didn't want to reveal the secret of Veronica's mother's identity in advance. She said, Wayne, are you interested in being a designer for your sister's brand? In the future, your designs, including stockings, will be considered as your technology investment, and you will get half of the net profit. So much, do you want to support me? Wayne was surprised by Healy's generosity and suspected that the other party did not know the value of stockings. With so much money, it would be worth it to be a student, let alone die. So, what is the purpose? Wayne did not know that he was full of talent, and he was even less aware of Healy's sense of crisis. He was dragged by the other party to sign a temporary draft and became the second fashion designer of the Healy Valentine brand. The first one is Healy himself, the founder and chief designer. He signed it. Although Wayne did not understand fashion, he dared to say that in this era, no one knows stockings better than him. Don't ask, the only thing to ask is that it looks familiar. Have you never worn stockings, and haven't you seen the pictures of leggings posted by group friends? Wayne doesn't understand fashion design, and if he doesn't understand, he doesn't understand, there's nothing to be embarrassed about, but he has definitely seen a lot of stockings. Black, white, flesh-colored. Long tube, medium tube, suspender. Fishnet, patterned. Asking him to design stockings is a dimensionality reduction strike in this era. If he fails, it can only be that the industrial level of this era is not good. Speaking of familiar, Wayne thought of women's underwear and swimsuits again, and suddenly realized that he had made a misunderstanding before, always thinking about inventing some simple and practical small objects. In fact, it's not the case. Just the pictures posted by group friends can make him shine in this era. Maybe he can also dominate the list of annual women's friends, become the fashion designer who understands women best in the God-chosen continent, and the dream lover of hundreds of millions of girls. The key is to make money. The group friends who criticize sex are really useful. In a trance, Wayne saw countless queens' heads smashing towards him. He tried his best to dodge. Guess what? Hey, there was no way to dodge. Hey X2. Wayne lowered his head and laughed, and found something wrong. Why two sounds? He looked up and saw 11 face staring at him and laughing. Teacher, what are you laughing at? Nothing, I saw you laughing, so I laughed too. 11 Faye raised her hand to cover her mouth. Young people are young, and they can be controlled with a little trick. Boy, make money well. My daughter has no concept of money. She spends money lavishly. She works outside and even gets paid. You can't support her if you earn less. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Restarting the Myth. Author, Feng Chao Huang. Chapter 36. The villa is 1,000 meters east. Although there is no green water, there are green mountains. There is an open space in front of the forest. Sci-fi is lying on a hammock reading a book. A love book. The story takes place in the Middle Ages, telling the grievances between several women. Wayne is practicing magic in front of the open space. The dozen spells are not very offensive magic, which is suitable for a novice like him. For example, the magic that Wayne is practicing is scientifically called slime monster. It uses the earth element in the body to cast spells, summon a ball of soft mud, and then use the mind to shape it. It's very simple, at least it's very simple in Sci-fi's opinion. With Wayne's talent, he can quickly cast it instantly with diligent practice. Wayne said that he was still good at doing the questions. As a result, the instantaneous casting was instantaneous, but the form of the slime monster was slightly different from his imagination. He couldn't summon the slime monster in the traditional sense. He changed many postures and could only summon a wall of earth. The damp earth wall will solidify quickly after being summoned, and it will be hard when knocked. It does not have the prerequisite for shaping thoughts. Wayne thinks that the way he opened it is wrong, but Sci-fi doesn't think so. The spell is a constant formula, and the answer obtained is also fixed. In other words, the slime monster can only be a ball of mud, no matter who comes, unless it is mixed with other formulas. Sci-fi thinks that Wayne is restless and eager to achieve success. He told him not to always indulge in the charm of the big sister, and to think more about the formula. Even if I am thinking nonsense, 1 + 1 is equal to 2. Wayne is almost wrong to death. God has mercy on him. He really didn't think nonsense. When he cast magic, his mind was clearer than anyone else. But it happened. The spell is right, the magic power is pure, but the form of magic is wrong. Teacher, is there a possibility that 1 + 1 is not equal to 2? Wayne knew what to do and didn't ask. Even if the whole world was wrong and he was the only one who was right, he was still wrong. He tried many times until his magic power was exhausted, and he sat cross-legged and began to meditate. On the first day of meditation, he captured nearly 30 elemental light spots. On the second day, he skillfully used his tentacles and plundered 100 light spots. This was the third day. Because meditation not only increased magic power, but also strengthened thinking synchronously, his tentacles became more numerous and longer, and he directly caught 300 elemental light spots. Wayne didn't know if his progress was good enough. Just looking at the size of the royal sister teacher, he thought it was not possible. This made Wayne very anxious. His talent was too ordinary. It is said that diligence can make up for lack of talent. He also has a very powerful teacher and the best meditation method passed down by the Church of Nature, but Sci-fi also said that this meditation method is open to many outstanding students, and he is not the only one. At the same starting line, the geniuses drove sedans, and Wayne walked on his legs. No matter how diligent he was, his 2 legs could not beat 4 wheels. How could he not be anxious? Facing the students' worries, the teacher was silent. What could she say? You don't walk on your legs, you fly a plane? No, what if you get carried away? Sci-fi could only express her sympathy in a tactful way and encouraged Wayne to keep working hard. After overcoming the initial difficulties, the road ahead would be smooth. Good things come hard, that's probably what it means. She has big breasts, so Wayne decided to believe it. To be honest, he was still a little unconvinced. Wayne thought his talent was not bad. Originally, he could capture more elemental light spots, but because the Book of Greed was interfering, every time he captured 10 elemental light spots, the Book of Greed would deduct 7. After all, he, Master Wayne, could only get 30%, but he had to look at the face of the Book of Greed. This is absurd, coach. Can we change the golden finger? It's getting late, I have to go. Sci-fi looked at her watch, got up and left the hammock. She put away the romance novel and encouraged Wayne again. Then he said, "The theoretical books I ordered for you will be delivered to the villa this evening, and tomorrow morning at the latest. Read more and circle any questions you don't understand. I will answer them one by one. If you can't wait, you can call me." The theoretical knowledge that Sci-fi refers to is the basic magic that is not included in the six-pointed star magic book. Chris also said that she would tutor Wayne individually. These courses are indispensable. Every magician must memorize them by rote. Not only must they memorize them, but they must also understand and integrate them. Otherwise, it will be difficult to understand the advanced magic theory in the future, and they will lose the possibility of further study. Wayne looked ugly, thinking of the university after 9 years of compulsory education. Those dead high-level maths launched a sneak attack on him again. What's the point of sneak attack? I can't beat them head-on. Sci-fi originally planned to accept Wayne as a student and bring him back to London to train him slowly. Wayne's magic talent made her change her mind. The administrative assistant around the high priest was too wronged Wayne. She wanted to train Wayne into a God-favored person. Furthermore, the chaos in London was far beyond Healy's imagination, and she could not spare time to teach Wayne in a short period of time. In this case, it would be better to put Wayne in the villa to avoid accidents of all kinds, so as to prevent the genius from dying prematurely. Healy did not say something. She was indeed a Lendon, but she did not belong to the power circle of the Windsor division of the Natural Church. It was not easy to regain her former connections. This time she took office, she might have to make a big move. The struggle for power is the same everywhere, religion is no exception, and faith is no exception. For the reasons stated above, he did not intend to take Wayne back to London and also cast a spell on him. With the villa as the center, Wayne's range of activities should not exceed a radius of 50 miles. If he gets bored, he can go to Lord Town, but don't even think about secretly returning to London to find his girlfriend. Unless, Wayne's magic power increases by leaps and bounds, exceeding the threshold set by he. Is there a possibility that I actually don't have a girlfriend? Wayne curled his lips. Teacher, you don't have to ground me. I will not return to London. In fact, I came out to escape. Oh, tell me. I was targeted by a big shot. He was very powerful in London. Both the black and white factions were trying to praise him. I don't know why I offended him. He wanted to stuff me into a cement bucket and sink me into the river. Wayne is speechless, he still hasn't figured it out yet. Sci-fi. She seemed to have heard this familiar threatening method somewhere. So, you didn't ask anyone else to help intercede, such as your girlfriend. Her family is so rich, so she should be able to help, right? It's useless. The big shot doesn't want to lose face. I'm still waiting for the call. I can't return to London until the other party calms down his anger. Wayne looked at Sci-fi eagerly. It's been 3 days. If you, teacher, could you help me ask, I would at least know who the other party is. Well, that's interesting. I'll ask you about it when you get back to London. Remember to wait for my call. Sci-fi suppressed a smile. She probably guessed the cause and effect. If nothing unexpected happened, that bastard would never calm down his anger in this life. You shameless thing, are you such a bully to a child? Let me go. Sci-fi left, directly by car. The hospitality etiquette of the Landau family made Wayne feel that it was a waste of money. For a strange woman he had never met, the housekeeper directly arranged for a luxury car to be sent to London. In order to save the lady from embarrassment during the journey, a maid was specially arranged to serve as the driver. This kind of hospitality would make everyone feel ashamed. In the afternoon, Wayne meditated in the garden, following the tips from he to stay as close to nature as possible. This time, his whole body was glowing with colorful lights. Especially Red, the fire element is full of enthusiasm, and he almost goes crazy with greed. After half an hour, Wayne stopped meditating and felt pretty good. After being happy for a few seconds, he started shaking his head and sighing again. So what if he was glowing? Not only were the academic geniuses better than him in talent, but they also meditated longer than him. There is a gap of 3 to 5 years, and I don't know when we will catch up. Thinking of this, the figures of the three ships immediately became distant. Wayne knew that this was the difference between geniuses and ordinary people. There was already a thick barrier between him and the ships. If I can't catch up in 1 day, I'll do it in 2 days. If I can't catch up in the day, I'll do it at night. I'm still practicing while they're sleeping. I don't believe it. I, a programmer, can't defeat them. After meditating, Wayne had a headache and was not suitable to continue reading. He had to relax and rest. I feel so tired. Butler, call me a car. I want to go to the town to relax. Okay, Master Wayne. Come on, it sounds like that guy in the alley. The car drove into the town of Inlord, but Wayne didn't get out of the car. He leaned against the window in the back seat in a daze. The car stopped at the intersection. The driver noticed that there was a traffic jam in front of him. He got out of the car to see what was going on and asked Wayne to take a rest in the car. After a while, the driver brought back the reason for the traffic jam. A murder had occurred, which led to a reasoning showdown between the two detectives. It was very lively and the townspeople were watching. One is a local detective from the town of Inlord, and the other is from Lundam and is said to be very famous in Lundam. Is there a fight? Wayne immediately stopped feeling sleepy and got out of the car to join in the fun. Restarting the myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 37. Eating melons is human instinct. Gossip is engraved in everyone's genes. Eating melons is not divided by status, country, profession, or social class. From the nobles to the common people, everyone likes to eat melons. Especially the live melons, the fresh and hot ones, are the most attractive to the onlookers. A suicide case occurred in the hotel. A geology professor from London took poison in the room and left a suicide note before his death. The professor repented of his bad life and did many bad things to his friends and students. He hoped to exchange his death for everyone's forgiveness. Near noon, the assistant and students who were traveling with him saw that no one answered the door, so they asked the hotel owner to break in and found the professor's body and suicide note. It was just an ordinary suicide case. The poison in the secret room and the handwritten suicide note almost ruled out the possibility of homicide. When the police arrived and confirmed the scene and went through the process, the case was basically closed. Coincidentally, there was a detective from London named Wesley living in the hotel. He walked around the scene and insisted that the professor was killed by suicide. The murderer was among the assistants and students who were traveling with him. Almost at the same time, Hood, a local detective in Enroad town, came to the hotel to deliver an investigation report to the professor, and he also firmly believed that the professor was murdered. Hood had met the professor several times and commented that the professor was an arrogant and selfish old man. It was very unlikely that such a person would repent and commit suicide to atone for his sins. There was no motive for suicide. If the professor had any remorse, he would have killed himself long ago. How could he have endured until now? So, the two detectives fell in love. Wesley was a well-known detective in London. He was in his 30s and had a good reputation in the industry. Hood was a local detective in Enroad town. He was nearly 50 years old and his professional qualities and experience were widely praised. Without saying a word, the two immediately started investigating, hoping to solve the case and catch the real murderer before the other. The onlookers were very excited. They were not interested in the professor's life or death, and they didn't care who the murderer was. They just wanted to know which of the two detectives was better. A crowd of people blocked the entrance of the hotel, waiting for the winner to be decided. As the news spread, more and more townspeople joined the crowd, directly blocking the traffic, and Wayne's car, who had played at home and won the support of 90% of the townspeople. The opening odds were extremely high. Who had won the spiritual support of the townspeople, but when it came to money, the townspeople were more willing to believe the detective master of London. The famous detective who could roll up in London must be better than our local detectives. What, you asked where the police were? Some of them were responsible for evacuating traffic and some were responsible for opening the market. The police officers of the Kingdom of Windsor were so simple and unpretentious. The sheriff was a lazy man. Seeing that Wesley and Hood were fighting on the spot, he simply helped them, detained the assistant and the students, and waited for the two detectives to do their own work. They were all solving the case. Why not let the detectives work hard when they were paid in full? Of course, you can't say that, it's against the rules. The sheriff means to give the victim the truth, and he will refer to the opinions provided by the two detectives during the case. Here I have to say that with the progress of the times, even in the Kingdom of Windsor, detectives are not qualified to enter the crime scene. Private detectives are mainly active in the civil and commercial fields. Once they are involved in criminal crimes, there is basically nothing for detectives to do. For example, Wayne's previous commissioned investigation on Dr. Reiner and his wife, all kinds of stalking and taking pictures, that is, he was not caught on the spot, otherwise he would have been in trouble. This is Windsor, and there is no shortage of gays in the prison. Many people originally couldn't figure it out, but they were connected in all directions after entering. Back to the point, Wayne squeezed through the 3 layers of onlookers inside and outside, grabbed the first row of special seats, and happily waited for the two detectives to fight. He saw the sheriff and 2 colleagues who were engaged in a reasoning duel. The 3 of them gathered together and just walked out of the crime scene, seeming to be discussing something. With the help of enthusiastic people, Wayne knew who the 2 detectives were. Wesley was a handsome Windsor man with a white face and no beard. Hood was slightly fat and had 2 black mustaches. The atmosphere was harmonious, and Wayne was disappointed. The 2 detectives were not as enthusiastic as he had imagined. They were even exchanging opinions and sharing the clues they had collected. Tisk, boring, it turns out that animation is a lie, Wayne pouted, watching the excitement and thinking that the matter was too small. Like Wayne, the townspeople also expressed their dissatisfaction, and one by one they shouted, "Hood, you represent the town of Enrord, show Master London some power, let him know how powerful the country detective is." "Hood, I bet all my wine money tonight on the London guy, you must not win." "Don't worry, Hood can't solve the case. His poor detective talent is not as good as Master London, otherwise he would have gone to London to make a fortune." "Hey, I don't like to hear this. What's wrong with Master London? Master London is also a human being." "I stand with Hood, he is the one that everyone wants." Wayne was bored and took the initiative to join the team of instigators, and started a fierce confrontation with the gentleman hat next to him who was also bored. "Wesley is also the one that everyone wants in London. I have heard of his name. He has been in the newspaper many times. The London Police Department often appoints him to help solve cases." The gentleman had held a civilized stick in his hand and a newspaper under his arm, and he was dismissive of Wayne's words. "I'm just a passerby. I'm from London and I'm also a detective. I've never heard of Wesley and he hasn't been mentioned in the newspapers." "You don't even know Wesley, and you still have the nerve to pretend to be a detective in London." "If you were a detective, I would eat this newspaper." The gentleman hat seemed to be a die-hard fan of Wesley, and he got excited after just 2 sentences. Facing this kind of cheating behavior, Wayne didn't say anything, and the onlookers were happy. One person told 10, 10 told 100, and the whole street was filled with a cheerful atmosphere. "Who wants to duel? Where? I heard that a pretty boy slept with the wife of the hat shop owner." Funny mudpie. Asshole, who touched my butt, don't you know to be gentle? Damn it, my wallet is gone. You second uncle. The chaotic crowd seriously disrupted the order, and soon attracted the dissatisfaction of the sheriff. He shouted loudly and asked the onlookers to keep their voices down. The gentleman hat couldn't stand Wayne's big talk, and shouted, "Sheriff, this gentleman is also a detective, why don't you let him provide some advice? There is also a detective. XN. A group of people looked at Wayne, who was wearing a gentleman's hat. Wayne's two colleagues also looked at him. The sheriff was slightly stunned and asked a police officer to bring Wayne to him. "What's your name, sir?" "Wayne." "Where are you from, Mr. Wayne?" "I haven't seen you in roared. The sheriff's ability was average, but he was not a good-for-nothing. At least he had a good memory and was familiar with every face in the town. If you are not familiar with someone, he is a foreigner. I am from London. I came to Enroard for vacation and stayed there temporarily." Wayne raised his hand and pointed in the direction of the villa. The sheriff looked in the direction Wayne pointed, his eyes flashed, and his tone immediately became respectful. It turned out to be Mr. Wayne. "Excuse me, I heard that you are also a detective." "A part-time detective. I opened a detective agency, just for fun." Wayne waved his hand. There were two professional colleagues and a group of police officers on the scene, and he didn't want to get involved. After strolling and making a fuss, the pressure has been relieved. It's time to go back to meditation. At this time, the professor's body covered with white cloth was carried out. The case was a bit tricky. The identification personnel had investigated the crime scene and were confused. They were going to take several suspects back to the town police station for questioning. Two detectives would also accompany them. This is how the case is solved. Whether it is the police or the detectives who cooperate in solving the case, almost all cases are solved in the office. There are very few cases where the murderer is caught directly at the crime scene by reasoning. Wayne glanced at the body, his eyes swept over several suspects, and stopped on a middle-aged man. This man smelled very strong, and he was covered with a lot of professor's smell from head to toe. The smell of the professor's body. Although the other suspects had the same smell, it was far less strong than the man's, indicating that the man and the professor's body had been alone for a long time. Wayne analyzed what he had just heard and speculated that the smell of the suspects came from collectively breaking into the secret room, and the man. "Got it? When you broke into the house, you hid behind the door, didn't you? No wonder your nose is so red. Did you get hurt? You are really brave. You stood by the professor's body all night. Aren't your legs numb? Aren't you afraid that the professor will come to you to chat late at night?" Wayne locked the murderer, and through the process of reasoning, he whispered a few words in the sheriff's ear, then said goodbye to the sheriff and took a car back to the villa. If it were someone else, the sheriff would definitely sneer and not believe a word of the murderer just by looking at his face without entering the crime scene. But Wayne is different. His temporary residence is very special. Mr. Landau gives money to the Enroad Town Police Station every year, under the name of social donation, so that the town police can enjoy the same welfare benefits as the London police. Would friends who feed and clothe your parents say nonsense? It's impossible. After returning to the police station, the sheriff immediately interrogated the murderer in person, and the first sentence he said made the middle-aged man's face pale. "In addition to the professor's body, there is another person hiding in the room. After poisoning the professor, he put down the suicide note and hid behind the door waiting for others to break in, thus disguising the secret room suicide scene, right? You can keep silent, but someone noticed that you were not wearing gloves. The wall behind the door may be able to extract your fingerprints." The middle-aged man confessed that he had indeed killed the person. The rapid resolution of the case surprised the two detectives, especially the local detective Hood, who looked like he had seen a ghost. "WTF, Is this still the good-for-nothing sheriff he knew? Was he impersonated by someone? The sheriff was complacent for a while and explained to the two detectives, the one who solved the case was Mr. Wayne. He locked the suspect at a glance and deduced the course of the case. X2. How could this be possible with just one glance? X2. Wesley, you are also a detective from London, you must have heard of his name, right? Wesley. No, this was the first time he heard the name of this colleague. The two detectives looked at each other and became interested in Wayne. After they left the police station, Hood said, Wesley, do you want to invite him? You can give it a try. Wesley nodded. He had been following the geocentric cult for a long time. He finally got a clue, but the professor who knew the truth was poisoned to death. Restarting the myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 38. Wayne returned to the villa, crossed his legs and meditated, strengthening his thinking and magic. He could maintain efficient meditation for half an hour every day. If he exceeded this time, he would fall into a state of mental fatigue and drowsiness due to excessive use of the brain. Thinking determines the length of meditation. Meditation consumes mental energy, while strengthening thinking and magic. Wayne first set a small goal to maintain efficient and long-term meditation, squeeze his potential to continuously strengthen his thinking, so that the meditation time is longer and more efficient. This small goal is 24 hours a day. To ensure that there is enough mental energy for meditation every day, he will start the second small goal, to get the body used to meditation, to do two things at the same time, without his subjective control. The body will naturally be in a meditative state. You are already a mature meditator, you must learn to move yourself. The ordinary talent made Wayne feel pressured. He didn't want to be a mediocre magician. He had the best teacher and the best meditation method. He should go further than others on the road of magician. It's just a little bit more talented. What's so great about it? Come on, roll, and see who rolls to death first. Wayne is betting on his hairline, he wants to crush all geniuses. March 23, afternoon. London's Express was delivered to the villa in N Road Town. Two maids moved the wooden box into Wayne's bedroom, and the latter couldn't wait to open the package. There were nearly 60 books, including the basic theories of magic packaged in the academy, practice guides, and psychological counseling related to magic. After sorting them out, Wayne also found bottles and jars of medicine, including health products to strengthen brain power, and small pills for refreshing and meditation. More of them were mental medicines. Magicians always have medicine in their hands, and they also have no shortage of psychological counseling courses. Magic is very dangerous, and the three ships are not kidding Wayne. Even if it is the initial lighting of the hexagram, the imbalance of the four elements, emptiness and self, will cause the novice magician to suffer from mental illness. If you get sick for a long time, you will go crazy. There was also a note in the package, which said the basic magic theory curriculum, what to learn in the first grade, what to learn in the second grade, and you must not jump grades too hastily. Even if you are a genius, you must first ask the instructor's opinion before jumping grades, and only after the instructor agrees can you proceed to the next round of study. Wayne opened the first grade textbook, which was all rote memorization. With his photographic memory, he could memorize it all by staying up all night tonight. Wayne was not in a hurry to look through it, but opened the hexagram practice guide to learn the skills of lighting the hexagram. This course was mentioned by Sci-fi, and Wayne had already learned how to light up the four elements. There is no shortcut, only persistent practice. When the magician captures the four elements of light, the four elements enter the magician's body and strengthen the corresponding life essence respectively. The earth element is the foundation of life, strengthening muscles, bones, and internal organs. The fire element is the energy of life, strengthening desire. The water element is the source of life, used to balance the desire of fire. The wind element is the breath of life, allowing the magician to maintain a healthy body and even stay young forever. The four elements together represent the most basic life essence of a magician. That is, thinking, will strengthen the basic life essence, make it extraordinary, and have the ability to change reality. The strength of life essence is not uniform. Putting aside the strengthening brought by thinking, if we only look at the basics, its strength depends on the potential of a magician himself. There is a saying that people's physiques cannot be generalized. Take Veronica as an example. The physique of the dragon blood descendant is ridiculously strong, so her life essence is far beyond that of ordinary people. When meditating, she needs to take in a large amount of earth elements to strengthen her muscles, bones, and internal organs. Before her body is full, there is no extra earth element to light up the hexagram. The other three elements are basically the same, with some exceptions to fire. The desire in the human body is already exaggerated enough. Under normal circumstances, there is no need to take in a large amount of fire elements in nature. When the four elements satisfy the life essence, the magician can light up the four light points of earth, fire, water, and wind. The lighting of thinking is the simplest. Everyone is born with it. Diligent meditation can strengthen it to make it shine on its own. Finally, it is the void. It is easy to light up the void. Just read more and learn more knowledge. The knowledge taught by the academy is enough for every student to light up the void. It is difficult to say that the key lies in controlling yourself. Before the hexagram is lit up and connected, you must not learn more advanced knowledge, otherwise the hexagram will be unbalanced and you will never be able to hold hands and connect in this life. Wayne read a book for an afternoon and received a call from Sci-fi in the evening. The teacher gave an online lecture and explained the doubts circled by the students. The call was not long. Sci-fi was very busy. As soon as she returned to London, she was busy all the time. She arranged for Wayne to meditate after school. Try to extend your meditation time as much as possible and capture more elemental light spots. These elemental light spots will be used to satisfy Wayne's life essence, that is, to lay a solid foundation. Satisfying the life essence is not a matter of one day or one night. It takes a long time and it is difficult to give an accurate time. Usually, the longer it takes, the stronger the life essence is. Sci-fi estimated a rough time for Wayne, 3 months. Teacher, why is it so short? Wayne was quite disappointed. A shorter one is good, and he can light up the hexagram quickly, but it also means that his potential is average. It's already very long. Sci-fi was quite helpless. The student didn't know how terrifying his elemental affinity was. She estimated that 3 months was very restrained. Normal academic geniuses who practiced meditation from childhood would need 3 to 5 years to accumulate. Sci-fi never underestimated Wayne's talent, but she couldn't figure out his life potential. Considering that he was just an ordinary person without a messy blood inheritance in his body, he defined his life essence as a top regular human genius. Calculating, it was almost 3 months. After hanging up the phone, Wayne was a little disappointed and was hit again. If possible, he, Wayne, would like to become a super genius with unlimited potential. It's a pity that he can't succeed. The cruel reality suppressed Wayne's self-confidence again and again. Fortunately, he can still roll, otherwise he has no way out. Thinking of this, Wayne complained about his golden finger again. The Book of Greed can't do anything, and nothing is left after eating. The only skin characteristic made him become neither human nor ghost. Okay, give me some potential. Just a little bit will do. Wayne closed his eyes and looked into the big eyes of the Book of Greed, who looked back at him. Wayne's vision changed, and he felt that the Book of Greed was himself, and he was the Book of Greed. That night, the white pigeon got out of the gentleman's hat, jumped and opened the feed bag and started eating. The Wayne family's homing birds are very good at doing things, like this pigeon, which knows the principle of doing it yourself to have enough food and clothing. Waiting for the owner to feed, 3 days of hunger for 9 meals. Feeding itself, one meal after another. After eating, the white pigeon jumped and played on the table and windowsill for a while, and after defecating, it didn't disturb Wayne and got back into the hat. Wayne sat cross-legged on the carpet, and his tentacles plundered around, taking the elemental light spots that were not dodged in time into his body. For now, he has not yet touched the bottom of his life essence. It should be. I have average talent and poor elemental affinity. I work so hard to get a few thousand light points. I can't even count as a fraction of the geniuses. It would be a miracle if I could get to the bottom of it. Wayne felt dizzy, took a deep breath, took out a bottle of pills, swallowed one, and entered a meditative state again. I don't know which elemental light point leaked the news. The 3 elements of earth, water, and wind dared not approach the big house. Only the fire element accumulated more and more, swarming to Wayne with enthusiasm. Those who can't get it are always in turmoil, and those who are favored are fearless. Wayne remembered Sci-fi's advice. The human body already has a lot of desires, and there is no need to get more from nature. Therefore, he didn't say a word to the enthusiastic fire element, and whenever he met him kneeling and licking, he would respond with a ha-ha. Busy, taking a shower. On the other side, the Book of Greed enjoyed the intercepted 70% of the elemental light points. It was eager for the missing fire element, but it couldn't change Wayne's will, so it could only wait silently for Wayne to change his mind. Around the big eyeball, several small eyes opened. The Book of Greed has changed a lot recently. The biggest change is in the 4 corners of the front cover. 3 slightly larger eyes slowly opened. Earthy yellow. Deep blue. Turquoise. From being tightly closed at the beginning, to being grayish-white after opening, and now gradually becoming more shiny, the 3 eyeballs are being awakened by Wayne. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Restarting the Myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 39. Garden Pavilion. Wayne lay on the bench, closed his eyes and meditated, blending into nature to capture more elemental light spots. Veronica called last night, and Wayne heard the uncontrollable joy between her words, thinking that the matter was done, and his father-in-law had dealt with the big shot. It turned out not to be the case. Veronica asked Wayne to wait a little longer. Mr. Landau was busy with this matter, but unfortunately no breakthrough was made. Asked that it would be soon, and it would be done soon. Wayne had no choice but to ask Veronica to bring a message to Mr. Landau, thanking the other party for his great help. In the future, he would never refuse any place where he, Wayne, could be used. Wayne didn't ask why Veronica was happy, and guessed that she had graduated successfully. Damn genius, while you can still laugh now, hurry up and laugh for a while. When he, Wayne, rolls up, you won't be able to laugh anymore. Wayne has food and drink in Enroad Town, lives in a mansion, eats and drinks top quality food, has a luxury car when he goes out, and has a housekeeper and maid when he goes home. He has no obsession with returning to London as soon as possible. He only wants 3 things now: meditation, meditation, and meditation. Even if that big shot doesn't stop him, he still has the foot confinement magic of the royal sister teacher on him. Anyway, he can't return to London, so he might as well devote 10,000% of his energy to practice. In addition, Wayne is quite ashamed of his long-term behavior of freeloading on the Landau family. He provides food and accommodation and helps to settle the big guys on the road. Mr. Landau treats him so well. If this doesn't develop into a father-in-law and son-in-law relationship, he doesn't know how to repay the favor. Master Wayne, there are 2 detectives visiting the door. They call themselves Wesley and Hood. Butler FLA came to the garden and bowed outside the pavilion. The butler called Wayne master because of Healy. The hostess valued Wayne very much. The two were in a teacher-student relationship. If it was just an ordinary teacher-student relationship, FLA would not change the address, but Healy specifically reminded him to treat Wayne with the same respect as the members of the Landau family. There are not many members in the Landau family. Ignoring some insignificant distant relatives, there are only 3 heavyweights, the male host, the female host, and the eldest lady. It is okay to call Wayne young master. Wayne tried to get the butler to change the address, but the effect was average, so he just let him go. Young master is young master, as long as it is not Master Wayne. Why did the two of them come to me? Wayne stopped meditating, pondered for a moment, and thought that there was something else behind yesterday's case. Master Wayne, do we need to drive them away? No, let them in. Wayne shook his head slightly. He dared to bet with Aubyn's nose that the murderer was the middle-aged man. The smell rushed to his head, and there was no mistake about this. Wayne guessed that the method of murder in the closed room was inconsistent with his reasoning. The middle-aged man did not hide behind the door, but stood behind the curtain. The two detectives came to tell the truth, and exchanged their experience in solving cases with this excellent detective colleague, and made progress together. Master Wayne, the two gentlemen have arrived. Butler FLA bowed and stepped back, and ordered the maid to bring a pot of black tea. Wesley and Hood looked at the worthless manner, and then heard the butler's address to Wayne, and fell into silence for a short time. People's joys and sorrows are not the same, and they just felt that Wayne's face suddenly became ugly. Damn rich young master. Hood knew who the villa belonged to, the local number 1 capitalist, the Landau family, which was very prestigious in London. Wesley also knew that he saw the family emblem of the Landau family at the door, but he didn't expect Wayne to belong to this family. 300 years ago, the Kingdom of Windsor had not yet carried out constitutional monarchy reform. The royal family had a directly affiliated tulip corps, all of whom were noble knights, and were synonymous with elegance and power. As time passed, the former tulip corps was disbanded and evolved into 14 families, scattered throughout the Kingdom of Windsor, and were collectively called the Tulip family. The family emblems of these 14 families are all based on tulips, or decorated with shields, swords, scepters, or slightly modified in flower shape, and the overall style is unified. According to gossip, regardless of prosperity or decline, even if there is only one family member, the 14 families will unconditionally pledge allegiance to the royal family and always uphold their knightly mission. The Landau family is one of the tulip families, and it is also one of the few tulip families that is active in the public eye. Its achievements are average. It opened a small bank in London, and joined forces with several other banks to form the London Bill Exchange, monopolizing the bill exchange business, thereby controlling all small and medium-sized banks in London. In addition to banks, the Landau family also invested in some real estate, military industry, people's livelihood, and other businesses, and conducted some small trade with foreign-friendly merchants. The head of the family, Austin Landau, was re-elected as the mayor of the financial city of London. He owns many newspapers and radio stations under his private name, has strong industrial assets, and is particularly fond of social assistance. He has a status in the entire Kingdom of Windsor. So, what does Master Wayne mean? Mr. Landau has an illegitimate child. X2. The two detectives came up with an absurd idea at the same time, suspecting that they had discovered the big secret of the Landau family. Wesley believed it directly. He had seen Austin Landau himself at a cocktail party, hugging women on both sides and visiting various socialites. This is not the point. The point is that Austin Landau and Wayne have the same hair color and pupils, which is enough to prove that the two are related by blood. The detectives are good at analysis and reasoning, and their imaginations are very big. Wesley and Hood looked at each other and backed off. Master Wayne is rich, very rich. He can inherit unimaginable wealth by lying down and doing nothing. Inviting such a person to participate in a highly dangerous detective investigation has a slim chance of success. Rich people cherish their lives. You too, don't be restrained. This is not my home. Just like you, I am also a guest here. Wayne asked, is it yesterday's secret room poisoning case? There is something wrong with my reasoning. The illegitimate child cannot directly identify himself. Wesley nodded and replied, it is indeed yesterday's murder, but Mr. Wayne's reasoning is correct. You are a very powerful detective, and your ability to capture details is impressive. Hood and I are proud that we came to visit today for another reason. Please tell me. Mr. Wayne, have you ever heard of the geocentric cult? The geocentric cult has never heard of it, but the geocentric cult does know about it. There was a little friction between Copernicus and the Pope about this. Wayne pondered for a moment, shook his head, and said bluntly, the first time I heard about the geocentric religion, was at the conservative sect in Windsor. It is a sect that has only begun to spread recently. They not only advocate that the Earth is the center of the universe, but also believe that there is a giant continent inside the Earth and that human civilization originated from the inner Earth world. There are passages between the surface and the center of the Earth. The North and South Poles are the largest entrances to the inner world of the Earth. There are a large number of extinct prehistoric creatures inside. Wesley told some content about the geocentric cult, and finally said, according to my investigation, the geocentric cult first developed from the town of Inlord and attracted a large number of believers. Now it has begun to take shape and has even affected London. Dan. Hood nodded and continued, Professor Vincent, who died in the hotel yesterday, was invited by the geocentric cult. He was a very famous geology professor. The geocentric cult found a path in the town of Inlord. The passage to the inner world. I want Professor Vincent to investigate and publish an academic article to attract more believers to join the religion. The professor is dead. He was poisoned by his own students. According to the prisoner's confession, this was a murder case of love. Love murder? How do you say that the professor is having sex with the student, the professor is sleeping with the student's girlfriend, or the student is sleeping with the teacher's wife? Can you elaborate? My friend wants to eat melon. Wayne was confused when he heard this and asked doubtfully, you two, after talking so much, you still haven't said why you came to me. Can you give me a quick word? Our investigation into the Earth Center cult has reached an impasse and we would like to ask Mr. Wayne for help. Your ability is far superior to ours, Wesley said dryly. This was the original plan, but after learning that Wayne was the illegitimate son of the Landau family, this unrealistic thought was eliminated. As expected, Wayne shook his head, rejected their request, and said politely, I am very honored to be recognized by two colleagues, but I have more important things to deal with at hand, so I'm sorry that I can't help. Wesley and Hood were not disappointed either. Anticipating this result, Business exchanged a few words and stood up to say goodbye to Wayne. By the way, if Mr. Wayne encounters followers of the Earth Center cult, please don't listen to their rhetoric. Wesley looked around and whispered, the person who entrusted me to investigate the geocentric cult is not an ordinary person. It comes from an official intelligence agency in London. I am not in a position to disclose the details. As long as you know that the geocentric cult is not just a formal section. Wayne nodded. He didn't believe in any goddess from a serious sect, let alone a cult whose setting was full of contradictions. Before bidding farewell to the two of them, he casually asked, Mr. Wesley, do you know who the Earth Center cult believes in, a god from the center of the earth? On the contrary, the gods believed in by the geocentric religion do not come from underground, but are above. Wesley shrugged, the god the geocentric cult believes in comes from the universe and is called the Lord of the Void. Lord of the Void? Wayne muttered the name, but the dark man couldn't explain. He always felt that the god's choice continent was weird and filled with an indescribable smell. Knowledge that makes people crazy. After entering the door of truth, they gradually lose their reason until they lose their lives. The more they think about it, the more evil they become. If this universe is really as indescribable as he imagined, the Lord of the Void, the cosmic god believed in by the geocentric sect, might actually be a cosmic-level super boss. Sacrifice and give you knowledge to the refreshing god? If you want to attract the attention of a super boss and obtain powerful power from his hands, you can imagine the difficulty and specifications of the sacrifice. Wayne probably understood the reason why the Earth Center cult was eager to develop followers. It was short of sacrifices. Before Hood and Wesley left, he asked the butler Fuhrer to give each of them a business card, and he was willing to contribute a small amount of help if anything strange happened to the two of them. He might not be able to stop it, but his teacher he can. The Earth Center cult. Lord of the Void. Wayne returned to the garden pavilion and wished the two detectives, no, the two investigators, all the best, and best of all, a safe return and promotion to the ranks of legendary investigators. It would be great if we could bring back forbidden items like the Necronomicon. Wayne knew he didn't have the guts to read it. He was living a good life and had no intention of becoming an imbecile at a young age. However, if a banned book really existed, it would give him a more intuitive understanding of the current world. Wayne lay in the garden, swallowed a refreshing pill, held his breath and began to meditate. The earth element was constantly strengthening his bones, muscles, and internal organs. He could feel himself getting stronger. Strength was intoxicating, and the process of gaining strength was even more exciting. He couldn't stop and just wanted to keep going. On March 24, Wayne captured 5,000 elemental light points, but still couldn't find the bottom of his life essence. I'm afraid 3 months won't work. My meditation effect is too poor. The teacher is too good at comforting people. She sees through things but doesn't say anything. She's pretty nice. Restarting the Myth. Author, Fengchao Huang. Chapter 40. At noon, after lunch, Wayne entered the woods east of the villa to meditate and practice. This woods is the private territory of the Landau family. A walking path has been built. It is very quiet and no outsiders disturb it. It is necessary to walk far away. The elements near the villa are caught or escaped. Except for the fire element, the remaining 3 elements dare not approach. They don't come, so Wayne can only chase them. Run. Haha, where can you run? I don't think you can escape from my palm. 2 days ago, the housekeeper FLA changed the weekly menu and made a detailed ingredient table to ask Master Wayne about his dietary preferences. FLA is a very good housekeeper. He observed Wayne's daily eating habits and found that Wayne was not keen on afternoon tea and had a saving attitude towards table manners. In terms of dishes, Wayne has no preferred food. Except for hating potatoes, he treats other dishes equally. It doesn't matter whether it tastes good or expensive, as long as it can fill your stomach. And it must be fast and convenient to eat, so as not to delay his studies. Not being picky is the biggest pickiness. As a butler, FLA felt that his career had ushered in a challenge. He collected all the information on ingredients that could be purchased on the market in the Kingdom of Windsor and stayed up late to make a table just to know what the young master liked to eat. It was hard to refuse the kindness. Wayne looked at the table. He didn't care. He just wanted to be full. When he found rice, he decisively decided to make it his staple food in the future. It was outrageous that rice could be grown in the God's chosen continent. Wayne had always regarded the God's chosen continent as a magically modified Europe. Do Europeans grow rice? He hadn't studied it, but it seemed that there shouldn't be any. In any case, Wayne got the staple food he wanted and was more energetic when he cooked. He asked the butler to order a wok. After 3 months, he ate tomato scrambled eggs and potato shreds. The potatoes that had been banished to the cold palace became Wayne's favorite again. Because of the difference in ingredients, mainly the difference in seasonings, the two stir-fried dishes did not suit Wayne's taste, but reunion after a long absence would always make people subconsciously ignore the flaws. The butler was so good, meticulous in every aspect, and he brought Wayne a great surprise. He was so good that he could not find any faults. This is called professionalism. Wayne was satisfied, but the butler was not. He wanted to do better. The next day, he handed over a form and brought Wayne peppers, onions, ginger, garlic, fennel and other spices. For a while, Wayne couldn't help but look forward to the future. It wouldn't be long before he could eat hot pot. Eating hot pot and singing songs, it's beautiful to think about it, and life feels full of hope. Wayne was very satisfied with FLA, but he had no money, otherwise he would definitely hire FLA as his butler. When customizing the iron pot, Wayne drew a simple drawing and asked the butler to order 3 pairs of fist jabs by the way. The surface steel was hardened and the thorns were blunt, which was used to increase the lethality in close combat. The fist jabs are small in size, easy to hide, and easy to use. The design of the handguard can not only increase the lethality, but also protect the fist. If the shape is more exquisite, it can be called a work of art for personal collection. Even if you are caught by the police, they can't sue you. It is indeed a must-have artifact for self-defense and sneak attacks at home and travel. In comparison, the crowbar is too long. Wesley and Hood have been away for 4 or 5 days. Wayne is busy practicing and gradually forgets about them. He recently figured out a good way to capture elemental light spots without meditation. Switch vision, merge with the Book of Greed, and capture elemental light spots floating in nature through tentacles. Advantages: the Book of Greed is insatiable. Wayne merges with it, and the efficiency of capturing elemental light spots is more than 10 times higher. Even if Wayne kneels, he can only get 30%, which is still a big profit. It can't be called capture, it's more appropriate to describe it as purchase. Now Wayne can meditate efficiently for 2 hours a day, and can reach 3 hours when taking medicine. All these 3 hours are used to improve thinking and magic, which greatly guarantees his practice efficiency. Disadvantages: the Book of Greed is too greedy. It plunders regardless of gender, age, or youth. It mainly accepts everyone. The fire element that Wayne avoided was swallowed up by the Book of Greed. The first time, Wayne was almost scared to death. He remembered Sci-fi's warning, fearing that his strong desire would overwhelm his reason and turn him into a social garbage with 5 poisons, such as greed, lust, and laziness. As a result, it didn't happen. The fire element was purchased in the tens of thousands, but it didn't even fill his life essence. Looking at the 3 elements of earth, water, and wind with no movement on the progress bar, Wayne once doubted that he was a genius. There is no doubt that facts speak louder than words. He is indeed a genius. Wayne didn't understand why. On the one hand, he recognized the ability of the teacher Yuja, and the high priest of the district would not make a mistake. On the other hand, he was unwilling to be labeled as a mediocre person. He still had a golden finger after traveling through time, so he should not be a waste anyway. Contradictory, habitually put the blame on the Book of Greed. Is there a possibility that he really has no talent, and his life essence is no different from that of ordinary people? The Book of Greed has raised his upper limit, making him impossible to measure with common sense, which led to the wrong judgment of the teacher. It is very likely. With big eyes and tentacles, there is no common sense, and ordinary people can't get him. Wayne is like a drowning fish that successfully got ashore, and a camel that was almost crushed to death threw off the straw, rolled up with full energy, as if he had returned to college, and stayed up all night and was still full of energy the next day. 3 months later, he will make Sci-fi look at him with new eyes. He didn't want to prove how great he was. He waited for this opportunity just to fight for his reputation and tell everyone that he must get back what he lost. I, Wayne, am no weaker than others. But first, it still has to be rolled up. His poor elemental affinity is his biggest shortcoming. This is an indisputable fact, which seriously interferes with his efficiency in accumulating the essence of life. Wayne gradually relaxed restrictions on the Book of Greed, allowing the latter to purchase as he pleased. The Book of Greed was satisfied, and he also got a certain kind of satisfaction. The last golden red eyeball slowly opened at the four corners of the cover. Although it was still gray, earth, fire, water, and wind formed the basic framework. It was energy and matter. After meeting the most basic conditions, the Book of Greed officially woke up. Wayne's tentacles were more, and the speed of plundering elemental light spots was faster. The gray eyeballs were no longer lifeless, and gradually gained a little more life charm. Those small eyeballs that could not respond to Wayne also looked at Wayne because the basic framework was formed at this moment. The largest eyeball in the center of the cover is Wayne himself. The others have different attributes. Some represent moonlight, some represent death, and more are chaotic and disordered, and have not been named yet. The eyeball representing moonlight points to the magic seed left by Chris in Wayne's body. The Book of Greed plundered some information buried deep in it, and the amount is small and can be ignored. The eyeball representing death points to the town of Cafano where the Death Walker sacrificed. The amount is large and it is currently the brightest eyeball except for the big eyeball. The others come from the Gate of Truth and are classified by the Book of Greed. There are more and less, and most of them can be ignored. Wayne has not found the correct way to open these eyeballs for the time being. It may also be that the prerequisites are not gathered, and now they cannot be opened. He was thinking about something in his heart, grasping the small clues to speculate, and gradually found something. It's so cool to cheat. Wayne was very calm and no longer rejected the fire element. He is not in the normal sense. The way to measure normal magicians does not work on him. What he needs to do is to plunder more of the four elements, first to meet the needs of the Book of Greed, and then to meet the needs of his own life essence. There are still too few elements around. Is there no holy place for cultivation that can let me eat all I want at once? Wayne frowned. Master Wayne, there is a call for you. Butler FLA walked through the tree-lined path and came behind Wayne. Who? Mr. Hood. So, who is Hood?